is that essentially I like to assemble everything together. So I'm going to point to the components. This pipe cleaner, pick out a bow, the ones that are available on the table. And what I typically do is I grab my pine cones, so I kind of put them on a wreath. So I'll tell you about selecting a wreath, but I like to set them up. Everybody does them differently. Ken, I don't know how you do it, but we all do things a little bit differently. But that's how I do it. So the first, you're picking out a wreath and you're looking at, which side should I put it on? Sometimes there's brown on one side or it doesn't look as good. And then the next thing, so you determine that, and then you figure out, hey, where do I want to center this wreath? You know, so take a look at it, make sure it's circular. You're just looking for the best place that you want to put this on. There's a lot of different places you can put it on, okay? This is kind of how I do it.
Yeah, one thing I do, and don't be afraid to ask which side of the wreath. One thing I do sometimes is some of the wreaths aren't perfectly round. So what I'll do is I'll put my finger out and I just kind of get an idea of how it hangs. Because sometimes it'll hang lopsided if we put the hanger doodle or the pipe cleaner there. You don't want to put it there. So that's just something I started doing when I make wreaths.
Sometimes when you go up to check, the folks will adjust it. You remember it's wire. This pipe cleaner goes around. This is what they're going to use to hold it on the door. So you can see, just grabbing it on around and twisting it several times, right? You want it to hold on the door. You don't want it to fall off when somebody hangs it. So one is not enough.
Is it a little bit looped so that it's not like tight on the wreath?
It's not tight on the wreath, absolutely.
Okay.
And you don't want to have them do it again. So to me, it's like this, and you're going to actually walk this up, and this is how you're going to hold it when you present it. So first thing, this is what I do. And then I've already preset these out. Again, this is to me the first set is bigger than the second set, and this is either this side or a little bit smaller. So that's my technique for doing that. So let me just wire it. Actually, I should say my next step really is putting on the bow. And where is the bow? Where do you think I would put the bow? Anybody?
Where the hook is.
Where the hook is, exactly. That's where you put it. I make it snug. And again, the same thing with all of these things. Twist it at least 3-4 times. It's kind of been my thing.
Hey, John,
Yeah.
more than 3 or 4 either, though.
Okay, you can do it many
You
times.
have to move them.
Yeah.
Oh.
Okay. Now, this is a little bit of a guess. You just got to get comfortable because sometimes the inspectors will say it's too far up if you put it right there. You're trying to have it so the bows kind of cover some of this. This is what I've been doing. All right? Just you'll figure it out by talking to your neighbor in terms of where you put it. But I usually put it so it's right at where the bows are starting. Again, and I wire it through. I think, what was your point? Don't wire it too much?
Don't mind more than 3 or 4 crisp.
Yeah. Unless you're absolutely confident that when you go up there, it's going to be exactly
At the end
right.
of the day,
That's exactly how I am after the first one, and the way you should be. A lot of different ways to wire the next set. You can do them separately. To me, it really kind of depends. If I have enough, I'll wire them and maybe secure one of the other set of pine cones. I'll tell you what I mean by that.
After you put yours on, do you tug on them to make sure they're good
Yeah.
size?
Yep. And the inspectors will do that. They don't have to be so tight. You know, I guess at the end of the day, I've been buying them and I sell them to neighbors, and you know, I want to make sure when I tell them that it was, you know, it was my quality. This is what I put on my door. There's a personal pride in what we do. At least that's how I feel about it. That's essentially one side. So look at it, kind of firm, that's how I do it. Some folks wire right through here, and it's one set here, one set here, one set here. To me, sometimes I just, like I said, wrap it around another pine cone so they're more firm. I'm gonna go to the next set. Again, I've selected them out. And for those who have wired, now this comes back when you blow it. If we don't wire and you know, kind of look at making sure things are all set, now this is the day when it pays off. We either wired well or we didn't. But sometimes it doesn't matter. You still have to just fix them up because you just don't have the right one. So what I'm saying in this one, this is kind of wired off to the side. I may need to work this to get it to the back. Let me wire it here, a little easier. And I can tell you right now that this first set where the wires were, it was a little wobbly going on. It didn't go on very tight. So I'm going to try to get this other one to help secure it if I can.
So you just wired that one through the bigger pine cone, right?
Yeah, you know why? Because the first one was so
You said it was
loose.
wobbly or something.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you know, some of the inspectors will say it's too tight and they'll make me do it over again, and that's okay, because that's until I figure out exactly how they like it. Each of them are a little bit different. You'll figure it out. We know what the inspector did. Okay. Last one. Now, I just want to point out, one of the things I'm doing, you're trying to making sure they're matching on each side, generally speaking, right? If one's hanging a lot lower than another, you know what? Is that what you want on your door? No. All right. All right. So this is my first one for the year. So I got about a 50-50 chance, but take a look at it. Right? Yeah. And when you go up, you're going to do like this. They're going to ask you to shake it. But what I tried to do was try to match the sizes. I try to match that they're generally in the same place, and to some extent, making sure that they start so you get a good view of the pine cones and also the ribbon. So what questions do you have about making a wreath? Any of the new folks? Any questions? Yeah.
How much is the fine if you don't get it right 3 times?
If you don't get it right 3 times, you go right to the wiring station.
Start over.
Or, and if that doesn't work and you can't wire, then you go to the clean the pine cone station, which is all those bags where people left all that stuff in it. Now, don't worry. You're all going to get this right. all you really have to want to do is do a nice job so you'd be proud of it if somebody had it hanging. That's really what you want. Because we need the support so we can go down and help help people make their homes warmer, safer, drier. That's what all this is about ultimately. So then we go and have it inspected, and I'll do that here in a minute so you don't see. So that's it. Any other things you want me to point? Oh, sure.
Where's the boat in the back? Like where?
Right where I put my pipe cleaner, whatever they call them now. Hanger doodle. I wire it right behind it. So there's 2 sets of wires, they go behind, and then you tighten it.
Yeah, there's two sets of wires, so you want to take 2 on each side.
Yeah.
Along each way, and just put them together 3 or 4 times.
Yeah.